The receipt lay on the table like a silent accusation. Zero. Not a single coin. Just a blank space where hope usually lived. For Marisol Hayes, standing in the middle of a crowded roadside diner, surrounded by clinking plates and the constant hiss of the coffee machine, that empty line felt heavier than the entire shift she'd worked. She drew in a slow breath, steadying herself, because this wasn't just about money. It was another reminder that life rarely shows mercy to people already stretched to their limits. Before we go deeper into Marisol's story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing, take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Warriors. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Marisol was 27 years old, a single mother doing everything she could to keep a fragile life from falling apart. She worked double shifts at a worn-down diner just outside Cedar Ridge, a town that sat somewhere between forgotten and overlooked. Her days began before sunrise, packing snacks, folding tiny sweaters, and slipping coloring books in her 4-year-old daughter Ella's backpack before walking her next door to a neighbor who watched her while Marisol worked. By 6 a.m., she was already refilling mugs for strangers who rarely learned her name. Exhaustion clung to her like a second uniform, stitched invisibly into her apron. That afternoon felt endless. The lunch rush dragged into late afternoon when the door opened, and something shifted. He didn't make an entrance. He didn't demand attention, but the room noticed. He wore a tailored coat, moved with quiet confidence, and spoke only when necessary. Polite, reserved, observant. Marisol greeted him like everyone else, unaware that the name he'd later sign, Grant Hollowell, was known in boardrooms and headlines around the world. She refilled his coffee before he asked, brought his meal exactly as ordered, checked on him one extra time, sensing something distant in his eyes. He thanked her softly and ate in silence. When he finished, he placed his utensils neatly together, slid out of the booth, and left without another word. Marisol cleared the table a few minutes later. That's when she saw the receipt. Tip, $0.00. Her chest tightened, not with anger, but with that familiar sinking feeling. She thought about the grocery list taped to her fridge, the rent due in 10 days, the daycare payment she was already behind on. She reminded herself, kindness isn't transactional. As she wiped the table, the plate snagged on something. She lifted it again, slower this time. A folded piece of paper rested underneath. Her name was written on it. Just Marisol. Her heart raced, not with fear, but with a strange, sacred curiosity. When the diner finally quieted, she opened it. The note was simple. No decoration. No drama. It spoke of observation, of noticing the child's drawing tucked into her apron pocket, of how she spoke gently to every customer, even the difficult ones, of how dignity can exist even in the hardest work. The final line stole her breath. This isn't a tip. It's an opportunity. Behind the note was a business card and a folded check. The amount wasn't extravagant, but it was exact. Enough for rent. Enough for childcare. Enough to breathe again. That night, Marisol held Ella longer than usual, listening to her excited stories about shapes and colors. For the first time in years, something unfamiliar settled in her chest. Hope. The next morning, Marisol sat in her car for nearly 20 minutes before dialing the number on the card. No one rushed her. No one judged her. They listened. Weeks passed, then months. She learned Grant Hollowell ran a foundation focused on overlooked talent in small towns, people who worked hard but were rarely seen. He believed dignity came from opportunity, not charity. The note wasn't a test of obedience. It was a test of attention. And Marisol had noticed. Through mentorship, training, and guidance she never imagined receiving, Marisol discovered she had a gift for organization and leadership. The diner owner noticed too, offering her more responsibility. Eventually, with support from the foundation, Marisol helped modernize the diner, turning it into a community hub that hired other parents juggling work and family. Years later, Marisol stood in the same diner, now brighter, warmer, alive with laughter. Ella sat at the counter doing homework, safe and confident. Grant still visited once a year. Same booth, Same routine. No tip. Just a note. Each one a reminder that the world doesn't always change loudly. Sometimes it changes quietly, under a plate, waiting for someone who's paying attention. If this story touched your heart, like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to Kindness Warriors. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Before you go, comment one word that describes how this story made you feel, and tell us where you're watching from. Because sometimes what looks like nothing changes everything.